Goal of the 9-yard line. Hamilton keeps it. Touchdown.
Y'all know what time it is, man. It's a Wednesday night. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for In the Huddle with Joe Ham. But before we get started, we got to thank God every minute of every day. I'm your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, one of the co-hosts of the Two Live Stews, which is every Monday and Thursday at 7 a.m. right here on right here on Stewart Media and Entertainment. We do it via YouTube. We do it via Facebook. But tonight, this is not the Two Live Stews. That will be tomorrow morning at 7. Tonight is In the Huddle with my man, Joe Ham, Heisman runner-up 1999, all-around good guy, one of South Carolina's finest. Joe Ham is in the building. What up with you, Ham? How you doing, man?
Man, everything's outstanding, Stu. I mean, I'm telling you, everything is outstanding. Had a wonderful Wednesday, man. I tell you what I did today, man. It won't shock you what I did, but with whom I did it with is going to not shock you, but you'll be interested.
Please tell me who you did what with.
Yeah, I went out in the backyard, man, and I was throwing routes. And I was catching passes, and I was going through drills, football drills. All right, that's not surprising, is it to you, Stu?
No, it's very surprising, man, because you knocking on 50, man. You still out there catching passes and running routes?
Well, not running routes, but and coaching up routes. I wasn't running routes, but I can catch the ball. You know, quarterbacks have the best hands anyway because that's all we do is we catch balls back and forth and throwing. But I was out there, Mr. Stewart, with my daughter. Oh. My daughter.
Let me take a guess. Let me take a guess. Yeah. She's playing flag football.
That's a very, very good guess, and you're absolutely correct, my friend. And this coming Saturday, they have a doubleheader. It'll be her first flag football game, and I'm teaching her to throw with a spiral, running post routes. I had Skylar out there running one-on-one drills.
I'm sorry, man, but does she have an arm?
She has a really, really good, decent arm. Yes, she's fundamentally sound. But those hands of hers, I mean, everything from my ball, and I'm not tossing it up like egg toss. I am throwing her the football. And she's catching it with pure hands. She's swift. She's mobile. She's athletic. And one thing about it, she said time and time again when she was growing up 5-6 years ago, and she'll constantly say it now, football is her best sport and her favorite sport. She wished it was tackle. She wished she could play tackle. And shout out to Landmark Christian. Shout out to Landmark Christian School because this year will be their first installment of flag football. So she'll be playing as a freshman in high school flag football, and she's excited. Man, I was so excited out there in the yard with my daughter playing flag football. And not only because the reason why I was so excited, Stu, I didn't force it. I didn't put a football in her hand. I didn't say, let's go out here and play catch while she was growing up. She gravitated towards football and loves her big brother playing football, and that just tickled my fancy, man. And I'm a very, very proud papa, buddy. Very, very proud.
It's In the Huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I'm your boy One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. And before we get into these sports, man, it's in her blood. You do know and understand that it's in her blood, and your kids are extremely blessed because it's not just dad that balled at the highest level. It's not just dad that balled in college. It's not just dad that won a few high school state championships in basketball, but mom balled on the collegiate level too.
Yes, man. And shout out to mom.
Right. Shout out to mom. I tease you sometime when I'm with you and your kids, and I'll say to them, you know, God bless your mom because everybody knows she's the best athlete in the house.
There's no doubt about it. I would not be. I would not take that in a bad way. I would not take that in a bad way because she's a smooth dancer. She has great feet. I don't know about her hands, whether she'll catch it like her daughter is catching it, but there's no doubt about it. I absolutely cannot take all the credit for the athletes we have in this family, and I'm extremely blessed. And I would be the first to say the mind they have on them, the scholar athletes that they are. Yes, I did graduate from Georgia Tech, the Institute of Technology, but most of the smarts come from their mom, no doubt about it.
Whenever my kids do anything educationally, when it comes to getting numbers and scores in them books, If it's good, I give it all to wifey. She's in academia. You know, she's got multiple degrees of schools like Columbia, Ohio State. I mean, she's a brainiac. I mean, real big brain. When something bad happens in school with a test or a quiz or somebody talking in class too much, I take it like I raise my hand like, hey, that's me.
Got it from me.
You acting like your daddy now. Don't act like your daddy when you get to school. Act like your mama when you get to school, man. But yeah, we're both blessed to have some very smart women in our homes, man. And God's been good to us when we talk about the wife card, man. It's your boy, One Last Stu, Ryan Stewart, man. Don't forget about tomorrow morning, the Two Live Stu's experience. You will be in the doghouse with Doug and I, and we're looking forward to it. A lot of good things to talk about. But tonight is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. On Monday night when Joe and I did the pop-up, we promised to get to some chat. And I think we may have read 3 or 4 or 5. I guarantee at a minimum, we're going to double that tonight. I guarantee.
Be careful with guarantees.
I know. You're not supposed to do what I'm doing, man, but I guarantee we'll double that tonight and do at least 8 to 12 of them, okay? So y'all please be patient and keep it locked. It is In the Huddle with Joe Ham, and we're going to start off with this NCAA championship that was played on Monday night. You and I talked about it prior to the game. We shared our thoughts. I think we both picked Florida to win that game. Did we not, or did I say Houston?
No, you said Florida. I said Florida as well. Now I had a kind of a conundrum, so to speak, because I picked Florida because of the bettors and who I thought was going to win, but I also was rooting for Kelvin Sampson to get his first championship. But that's where I went on that.
I'm very glad you said that because I wanted Kelvin Sampson too, a guy that is knocking on 70 if he's not 70 now. Joe, let's just start right there. Give me your thoughts on Monday night's game. I'm going to definitely put this ball in your court. I'll share my sentiments more about that game tomorrow morning with Doug. But for right now, please give me your thoughts on Florida finding a way to get that thing done.
Well, first and foremost, I love the fact that it was a close game. I love the fact that it was not a blowout, that under 5 minutes left in clutch moments, what we call it, that the teams battled. I love the fact that it came down to the wire, one possession game. The coaches coached their butts off. The guys executed. And I must give a shout out to the most outstanding player. That's Walter Clayton Jr. And what he did, he was not on his game. He scored his first field goal with under 7 minutes left in that ball game, Stu. And to be defensively, to be on his P's and Q's defensively, I think 2 block shots. He really contested that last attempt on the 3-point shot by Houston. He was all over the floor. And sometimes when you are not hitting your shots, and sometimes you get frustrated, and then you think, Grant Hill even said it on the broadcast, what can I do other than scoring that can help my team out? He didn't get down. The coach did not bench him a la Rick Pitino. So he stuck with them. And he finally got it going. He saw the ball go in the net on a few free throws, and he got it going. So I definitely think he deserved to be the most outstanding player in the NCAA championship game. And when you look at it and you look on the Houston side of things, Stu, you must say that you cannot not get a shot off at the last shot. You cannot. Now, I second guess a lot of people would say, why would Kelvin Sampson, the head coach, why would he go for 3 to win the game? I don't mind that, but the way they were rebounded, the way Houston was rebounded, I think they had 15 offensive rebounds in that game Monday night. I think you go for 2. I think you go for 2 and you let 19 seconds run off the clock. They got the ball on that side of the court, on their half of the court, with 16 seconds left. And then you were forced not to get a shot. I think you take a shot early in the shot clock, wrong about 6 or 7 seconds left, and then you have a chance to get an offensive rebound or a tip in. So to go for 3, I'm not disagreeing with Kelvin Sampson. He's a coach, and he's been around a lot of basketball, going for the win. But I would have gone for 2 there and try to get an offensive rebound and force another 5 minutes.
A couple of things you just
in
mentioned
overtime.
that I want to talk about, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Rebound-wise, the stats, they tell the story. Total rebounds for Florida, 40. Total rebounds for Houston, 39. So they've been knocking on the same door. However, Florida had 32 defensive rebounds, and Houston had 24. So offensively, Houston was getting the ball offensively on the boards. Defensively, Florida was the more aggressive rebounder. Now, when it comes to shooting last night, not last night because the night is Wednesday. When it comes to shooting Monday night,
Yes.
both teams shot the ball fairly well. Florida was a tad bit better, right at 40%. Houston, right at 35%. Both teams, 3-point percentage-wise, right at 25%. I mean, but when it comes to the free throws, there's the discrepancy. Florida hit 81% of their free throws, 17 for 21. And Houston, they did not have as good of a game, only going 9 for 14. Wasn't getting to the line as much. But, man, did you ever at one point in time think that Houston had total control of that ball game and that there was nothing Florida could do, especially because Clayton Jr. wasn't on his marbles early in that ball game? What was your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I absolutely thought they were in control. I never thought that Florida was out of the game because the way Clayton Jr. could get hot, the way Florida could turn you over and play high-level defense. But what Houston did is they started turning the ball over. You look at the last 3 possessions. On the last 3 possessions, they had a bad shot, 2 turnovers. They had a bad shot and 2 turnovers in the last three possessions, and then they were up. They were in control of the game. I thought both teams made a mistake fouling early in that second half because they were in the bonus, and then they got into the double bonus with about 7 minutes left in the game. So now you can't be as aggressive as you once were because any touch foul, they go into the line for 1, and then you went into the double bonus, they go into the line for 2. But I was very impressed by Florida because Florida played Houston's game. Houston is the team that's number 1 ranked in all defensive categories: field goal percentage, 3-point defense, efficiency on the defensive end. But Florida was able to muddy it up. Florida was able to hold Houston to 34% field goal percentage. That is not necessarily Florida's game. They high flying, they get up and down the court a little bit, but that slow pace, the way they were able to take possession by possession, it showed me that their ability to adapt to a different style of play. And that has to be applauded. When things are not going your way, your best player that was leading you the entire tournament was struggling, other guys stepped up. In the first half, hitting big threes, not getting down on themselves. So you have to give Florida a big shout out. And again, how many close games has Florida been in that SEC? I must reiterate that to you. That SEC conference schedule, 14 teams making it in the NCAA tournament, 7 teams making it to the Sweet 16, and then those close games, and then even Auburn when they played in the semifinals, right? That was a close game as well. So I just think they gave us what we wanted. I think the best team won from the best conference in basketball. And I guess Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, he has to be very, very pleased. He has to be very pleased because to have that many teams in the tournament and hold up the trophy,
and
that's what you want to do.
That thing. Yeah,
and walk away, not just get to the Final Four, not just represent the SEC, but complete the whole entire season. You must give them kudos, man. I'm not a big fan of the SEC because I'm an ACC guy, but I love to give credit where credit is due. No doubt.
Shout out to my man DJ Chuck. DJ Chuck said it was a great basketball game. Turnovers hurt Houston. Not really, Chuck. Florida had 13 turnovers and Houston had 9. In my eyes. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
No, yeah, but still, I agree with Chuck. I agree with Chuck because it's somewhat.
It was winning where the turnovers took place, but not the
there
numbers.
You go.
It's a 4 to 5 turnover difference, so that's not that bad. But it was winning where that the final possession for it to end on a turnover. You can't have that. You got to find a way to get that shot off.
Absolutely correct. And the possession before is when the ball bounced off the young man's knee to go out of bounds. Just the possession before. But I liken it to, and I understand what you're saying, Stu, only a 5 turnover different. But I liken it to a quarterback throwing an interception in the first quarter as opposed to throwing an interception in a game-winning drive late in the fourth quarter. Yeah, the turnover margin might be even Stevens in the football game.
It's when you did it. It's when
it occurred.
Yeah.
It's when it occurred. And you have to protect the ball. And I think that, and I know Houston has been in a lot of close games, but you have to be prime. You have to put yourself in those positions in those moments. And that's when you look back at the film. That's what the deciding matter, that's the discussion we got to have tonight. Is about the turnovers, when it happened, 2 of your last 3 possessions, you did not get a shot up to touch the rim at all.
We may stay in the world of basketball real quick, man, and you alluded to talking about the SEC and how powerful they were, having that many teams make it to the Sweet 16, having 2 teams get in the Final Four, and then the conference walking away with the title, man. Is the SEC the best overall conference in college sports, period, Joe? Give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, well, yeah, man, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up because I thought about that today. I thought about that yesterday, and I would say yes. I have to say yes because overall, that's what I'm looking at. Overall, how many teams, when you look at football, are in the SEC championship, different teams, at least the top 7. How many teams in basketball? We just alluded to 14 teams making the tournament. When you look at Florida and you look at Ole Miss and you look at some of those guys, Tennessee in baseball, they're the same way. When you look at their golf team, it's the same way. Sports overall, I like the SEC. They like to use the mantra, it means more in the SEC. And I just got to give them this flowers right now. I have to give them the flowers. And some might say the Big Ten, with the Big Ten winning back-to-back national championships with Michigan in football, and then Michigan in football, and Ohio State this year in football. Yes, I understand that. But overall, what the SEC put on paper, the product that they put out, and when you look at overall, I love to bring in as well academics. You have to throw the Vanderbilt in the world. Yes, Vanderbilt can be used for something. They can be used for academic and that prestige. Florida, we talk about Florida and winning back-to-back national championships in the late 2000s, 2007 and 2008. But what about their engineering program? What about their business program? You looked at all those guys. I think SEC is on top right now. And if you're a student athlete, that's what rules. When you can have a campus that's excited about sports, when you have a campus that if you're recruiting a football player, you can take him to a basketball game. I don't know if you went when you got recruited by Georgia Tech, but that was so exciting to me on my official visit that we were able to go and see those guys play basketball as well.
Hey, man, I saw one of the best basketball games of my life when I was visiting Georgia Tech it was the weekend after they won the national championship. Kenny Anderson was on the floor. He had like 25 points, 18 assists. I mean, it was a Dennis Scott. I mean, it was
Lethal Weapon 3.
Lethal Weapon 3 was in the building. So
Brian Oliver.
Georgia Tech the weekend after they win the national championship, and I see this basketball team on the basketball court. There was nothing they could do to get me out of Atlanta. I wanted to stay on the official visit. I told my mom, "You go ahead back. I'm staying here, but I'm definitely coming to school here." And that was my 3rd visit. Man, I canceled 2 visits after visiting Georgia Tech. I like you so much, man. You just mentioned Rick Pitino. You mentioned a couple of other things, man. And about 2 weeks ago, I think we talked about it.
Yes.
During St. John's loss, Rick Pitino sat the Big East Player of the Year, R.J. Luis Jr.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Didn't play the last 5 minutes of that ball game, a ball game that you and I both thought that St. John still had an opportunity, even though Junior was a little short with his shots. It wasn't hitting the threes, and he was having a bad night, but you and I both thought he should have been on the floor. Rick didn't put him back in the game. He just stayed on the bench. Well, now we found out that he has decided to opt out and go into the NBA, okay? My thoughts and questions to you, Joe. Had he played more minutes in this last game, would he have returned to St. John's? Or was he going to the NBA regardless?
He would have returned to St. John's.
I think so too.
There is no doubt. Well, it's a little bit of doubt. I can't be 100%. I don't like to go all the way to 100. I'll say right at 99.9% because he entered the transfer portal before. So even before he entered the draft and said, I'm going to the NBA draft, he was already getting ready to leave St. John's because of that decision. And I liken it too, and that's why I brought that topic up tonight, because I liken it to Clayton Jr. on Monday night. He was struggling. But you know what? Every time he came off that screen and roll, they double teamed him and somebody else was open. Every time he was on the defensive end, his probably putting his hands in the passing lanes, deflecting passes, getting rebounds, blocking shots. He affected the ball game in different ways. So that's why I thought that Rick Pitino should have kept his best player on the basketball court, because you don't have to make buckets to have an impact. And although his shot was off, you got to take that shot. You got to keep shooting that shot, and you can be somewhat of a decoy. So I totally believe in my heart of hearts that that's the reason why he's leaving St. John.
Will Richard for Florida had 18 points, wasn't the player of the game. Alex Condon for Florida had 12 points, wasn't the player of the game. Will Richard had 8 boards and 18 points. Wasn't the player of the game.
And he had 14 of those 18s in the first half.
In the first half.
Yes, he did.
A guy that was the 3rd leading scorer in the game. Now, he was a stat stuffer in this game, too. Clayton Jr. had 5 boards, 7 assists, and 11 points. Stunk it up early, but like you said, his coach stayed with him. His coach left his best player, the reason why they played in that damn game, on the floor. What Rick Pitino was thinking, I have no idea. Any idea why he did what he did, Joe?
No idea. No idea. He overthought it. And I firmly believe that if you ask Rick Pitino, would he do or would he make that same move again, he would say no. Did he get any sleep that night about that decision he made? I don't think so. I think he second guesses himself now. And I watched Todd Golden, the head coach of Florida, numerous amount of times when he brought Clayton Jr. on the side and when he sat him down, maybe rest, maybe just to chop him up, talk to him a little bit. He gave him a pat on the butt. He made sure that you stay in the game. Stay in the game. I'm gonna need you. And that's what it comes down to. And remember, you called out guys and he was the 3rd leading scorer. But when you give the MOP, most outstanding player, it's not just the championship game; it's the Final Four.
Right.
It's the Final Four, and he had 30 something in the semifinals game against Auburn.
Two back-to-back 30-point games. The first player to do that, first freshman to do that, because he's a freshman, right?
No, sir, he's a senior.
He's a senior.
And
the first player to do that since Larry Bird.
Yes, since Larry Bird, and you know what? He's a 4-year player. But shout out to Walton Clayton Jr. because do you know where he started his college basketball career?
Tell me.
Iona. He played 2 years at Iona. And so that's another thing, the transfer portal. That's where the transfer portal, I know we like to talk about, the guys not competing and guys leaving and not staying the course, running away from competition, running away from adversity. Stu, I understand that, but this is what the portal is all about. I outplayed my talent is more than Iona. I may have had some circumstances where I went there at first, maybe my grades, maybe I was a late bloomer, but now I got transferred to an SEC team and I blossomed. So I'm glad he stuck with it. I'm glad Todd Golden stuck with him. And he had in the Elite 8, he had 30 plus. And then in the semifinal game, he had 30 plus. So that's going to culminate in you being the most outstanding player when you can do other things. You mentioned 7 assists, 5 boards, and a couple of blocks, and countless amount of contests on wide open shots. Shout out to him, man. He played very, very.
But he played real hard, man.
Real hard, and his teammates kept going to him.
All right, DJ Chuck, great points, Joe Ham. We appreciate you, DJ Chuck.
Shout out, DJ.
Let's see, my man Julius 35C. We're gonna do these damn emails tonight, Joe. My man Julius 35C. Rick Pitino was Walter Clayton Jr.'s former coach at Iona. That's what Joe just said. That man does his homework. Let's see if we have anything else. My man Julius 35C says Kelvin Sampson will be 70 this October. Thank you very much. Making sure that we're on the right spot. Last thing, man, Clayton Jr. played professional ball, and if he does, in your opinion, how long does he last in the draft?
Whoa, big moments when you can stand out like that in big moments, when you can be clutch for your team. We like to think about one and done. I asked myself, or maybe I asked you last week, why is Walter Clayton Jr., why is he still in school? Normally guys that on fire and having 30 plus games and that, that prime time, that, clutch, he doesn't stay around to be a senior. He does not. So he's developed. He's played a lot of ball. And I think he's a first rounder. I definitely think he's a first rounder. And he's the type of guy with the ball handling, the assist, and the defense. He's the type of guy that can play in the NBA 10 plus years. I'm not sure that he's a lottery pick, Stu. But a guy that can shoot like that, a guy that galvanizes his team, a guy that's lifted his team up like that, there's value in that type of guy. And when you say professionally, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the NBA. But just remember, there are a lot of professional leagues, not just the NBA. So I definitely think he's going to play professionally.
I am debating bringing the conversation that we had on the table for a little while today with Mr. CP3. I was debating bringing that to the airways, but I'm still doing some research to make sure that it would be the right thing to do that. It's a tantalizing conversation when you talk about other leagues. Doug and I, when the Live Golf Tournament started, or when the Live Golf Tournament and the Live Tour started, Doug and I talked about it for a while. why would this not happen or something close to this not happen in other sports and other leagues? The Saudis have countless bread. I mean, they have
Yes.
endless bread. So any number you throw out to those guys, they don't bat an eye. Okay. So we're not going to get into that in detail tonight. I'm going to read one more message from Jungle Brother, and we'll move on to some other things. But you just mentioned it, man. Yeah, Clayton Jr. can make a lot of money for a lot of years and have nothing to actually do with the NBA. I think those 230 back-to-backs in this tournament and Florida winning the championship will get him an opportunity to play in the NBA. I don't think it will be a lottery pick, but I do think he'll get a chance. And once he gets to someone's camp, that will determine how long he stays.
Absolutely.
If he plays like he did in those back-to-back 30s and how he led this team to the championship this year, he may be around for a while, but you're exactly right. He will play somewhere. Before we move on right now in the huddle with Joe Ham, Jungle Brother, last text. Dude should have shot the ball. You alluded to the same thing, Joe. If he gets blocked, so be it. Never hesitate. He'll relive that non-shot for the rest of his life. I hurt my feelings, Joe. But Jungle Brother is right.
He's absolutely correct. And you know what? I'm going to play Monday morning quarterback on that shot he took because, man, Walter Clayton Jr. was closing out so hard, so fast. The good old pump fake, he would have had a wide open shot. The good old ball fake, he would have had a wide open shot because of the guy closing out that fast, leaping really when you got set up for the shot. The guy was already leaping. Just a little pump fake and then reset your feet and then you're wide open. But again, I was not in that moment and you have to live with it. But to not get a shot off and you're on that side of your half court with 16 seconds left. And that, you know, another thing, shout out to the defense that Florida played. Short a switch, they blitzed the ball in the pick and roll and the screen, and they were playing lights out defense. So it wasn't all just Houston making mistakes. I think that mistake was forced by the defense of Florida, brother.
And again, Houston was balling on the offensive boards.
Yes,
really wish y'all could have got that final shot off, man. I just and again, you said it earlier before we move on, and we're about to move on. This is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy, One Life Stew, Ryan Stewart. You alluded to it earlier. I'm not mad that Sampson called for a three-pointer and was trying to win that thing. I'm not mad at all. I would not have been mad had they played for a possible tie. But when you don't get a shot at it, there's some cats that's not sleeping outside of Watson. Sampson ain't sleeping either.
No way.
He's never played in the championship game. He's played in a few Final Fours. He has a great team. They played hard. They deserved a final shot. I'm not saying they deserve to win, but I'm saying they deserved a final shot.
Yes.
It really hurts my heart they didn't get that.
Yes. And shout out to Houston as well, because you just said a word that it wasn't used loosely. You said great team. Don't you know, in my humble opinion, and I do know basketball.
Damn scrappy, Joe.
It's so scrappy to your point right there. They don't have a draft player, a player that's going to get drafted. Now, it might be in the second round where it's not guaranteed money. I don't know. But in the first round, they don't have that player on their roster. That's a great overall team, scrappy, and they played together. I love the way they played.
I don't think I've seen a defense this season as suffocating as they were. I mean, they come off their man real quick and double that ball just for a second to make that guy pick it up. And the minute that guy picks it up, the guy that doubled him might take off and go, or another guy might come in. It's a trap all of a sudden. But the minute that ball is gone, everybody busts their butts to get back to their coverage. Like roaches when the light cuts on at night in the house. They hustle their butt off. And I just wish they would have had a final shot, man. It's your boy, One Last Two, Ryan Stewart, in the huddle with Joe Ham, enjoying a little bit of college basketball. Shouts out to Florida. Congratulations. Saw a lot of Florida sweatshirts in the gym yesterday and on Monday. Early this morning, you know, guys, just Florida fans, Florida alum. I see more Florida tags on cars in the last 2 days. Congratulations to those guys, man. Let's go to the world of the NBA. I need to figure out what's going on here, Joe.
Oh, my goodness, man. 2
playoff teams have fired their coaches. Okay? Talking about Denver, talking about Memphis. The the family and I actually went to the Lakers-Memphis game in Memphis this past weekend. And it was the first weekend. It was the first game since their coach had been fired, I believe. But Joe, tell me what's going on in the world, man. How in the hell do they decide to fire those coaches when they're both playoff teams? Just help me understand that the math isn't mathing for me, as people have been saying.
No, it's not mathing for me either, Stu, but I'm going to take a shot at it. Because I'll start off with Denver. This is unprecedented. Mike Malone, their head coach, he's the winningest coach in Denver's history. 2 years ago, he just won the NBA Finals. You have a guy going for back-to-back, or going for his fourth MVP in the Jokic. So what's going on? And now when the ownership fires the head coach and the GM, what direction do you want this team to go in? And I've been around, and I'm 40 plus years old, 48 years old to be exact. That hurts, man. You want guys to be robots. You want guys to go out there and say that does not affect their psychic. You want guys to go out there and think that, hey, you can fire our coach and wake up in the morning and everything's going to be okay. No, everything's not going to be okay. It's one thing, Stu, as I thought about this, it's one thing if you're going to miss the playoffs. It's one thing if you're a bottom feeder or you last in the conference. That's one thing. But when you're fourth in the West in a tough conference, the Western Conference is a tough conference. And the Grizzlies, I think they're fighting for the 7th or the 8th spot right now with this up-and-coming or a superstar, if he can get his act straight, and Ja Morant. Where do they go? What do you expect? And my whole point about I'm disappointed in this, what happened to let's finish the drill? What happened to let's see where the chips may fall? This is a sign of giving up to me. Now, it can happen when you go back to Cleveland when I forgot the coach that they fired, Black, when Ty Lue took over, and Ty Lue took over mid-season. He didn't take over this late. Ty Lue went on and they won that championship that year. But this is unprecedented, Stu. Why not finish? If you're going to fire this guy in the GM, yes, his contract was up. And I did read that where Mike Malone and the GM, they kind of butted heads a little bit. They butted heads because the GM wanted to play younger guys. And Mike Malone's like, hey, I'm trying to get some seeding here. I'm trying to be a top 4, top 5 seed. I'm going to play with those vets. I'm going to, dance with the lady that brought me here, so to speak. And I'll say one thing more about that, Stu. What do you want the Joker to do now? What do you want him to do? I would not be surprised and I would not be disappointed if he wants out. He's been in this league and all he knows is Mike Malone. Or you can imagine a relationship that he can talk to and he can get him out of a funk. He knows when he needs rest. He knows when to push his button. He knows all those type things about the Joker. And now you're firing him with 3 games left in the season? I wanted to math. I wanted to make sense to you, Stu, but those are my thoughts. I'm very, very disappointed in Memphis. And I do understand this. Now, when you look at Denver, it happens like this is a knee-jerk reaction. Yes, they lost 7 of their 10.
Please remember what you're going to say.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's 5 teams right now in the Western Conference. The 4th place Clippers, the 5th place Nuggets, the 6th place Warriors, the 7th place Grizzlies, and the 8th place Timberwolves. Well, take the Timberwolves off. I'm sorry. There's 4 teams that have a 47-32 record, the exact same record. And 2 of those teams just fired their head coach. That don't make no sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense to me. And then check this out. I understand that in the last 10 games, the Denver Nuggets, they lost 7 of them. They are struggling right now. Is it fatigue? Is it just, trying to, tail in on a long season? Who knows? But they were playing all good basketball up to that. They just were in the 3rd place, 3rd seeding in the West until they went on this little skid, and they're still at 47-32. Was it, happenstance with the owner? Were they kind of clashing? I don't understand. And have these owners, man, and you mentioned with the Luka Doncic trade that traded him from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers, and that ownership doesn't really care about basketball. They care about the bottom line and the money. They have their interests elsewhere. It's just the bottom line. I understand that. But when an owner makes this type of move, Stu, I have to agree with you that they don't quite. They're saying we have our championship. We have our championship 2 years ago, and a championship this year does not really matter. That's all I can go with. Now, Memphis is not a team that I would pick or had a chance, a real chance of making the NBA Finals or even getting out of the West. But I'm very, very sure that the Denver Nuggets had a chance, and they were favorites in some people's mind to represent the West. Golly, man, I don't understand it.
What if, because you mentioned Joker, what if Joker's the reason why the coach and the GM got fired? What if they did that because Joker went to the top office like, hey, man, if you don't shake these guys down, I got to go someplace else. I don't like coaching with these guys. I'm sorry. I don't like playing for these coaches. I don't like playing for this GM. I want him
Doesn't
gone.
make sense.
What if
Doesn't
Joker's the reason why? Okay.
Doesn't make sense, Stu. Doesn't make sense. What you're saying now, and I understand where you're coming from, but what you're saying now happens after the season, brother. That happens after the season. You're out in the season, and you're about to handicap me, or I'm going to handicap myself by getting rid of a coach that I knew my entire career, and then bring up somebody on the bench who I don't probably have the same rapport with. Does not make sense. Now, if he's disgruntled, when have you seen this happen? Maybe an All-Star break. Maybe early in the season, how the Milwaukee Bucks did to their coach when Doc Rivers came in, and that guy was, had the better record in the NBA at that time. He was like 9-10 games above 500. But
had recently come off of a championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Giannis and those guys didn't like him. No, that was Budenholzer that coached him to a championship.
That was Budenholzer.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't think the Joker would make that move. And normally when that move is made, you don't fire both the GM and the head coach. So I would be a little upset, no doubt about it, if I'm the Joker now. Now, he can't go in the corner and cry. He can't wallow in mud. He's going to have to play basketball because he's under contract. But at this end of the season, I will not be surprised if he asks for a trade. And in the game of basketball, if somebody asks for a trade and they want out, they're usually granted that wish.
No question about that, man. In the Huddle with Joe Ham, I'm your boy, One Life Stu, Ryan Stewart, man. We're going to stay in the world of the NBA, Joe. I was watching the game before we came on live tonight.
Yes, sir. I was as well, yes.
Luka is back in Dallas. Competitive game. I need to check the score because I was watching that before we got started. Joe, how in the world does the general manager and the owners feel when they're at the game and one of the stars of the opposing team, every time he touches the ball and hits a shot, they go crazy? How's that GM and how's that owner feel when you're in your house and the guy you traded to the Lakers is back in town, and every time he touches the ball, the crowd goes crazy? There's signs showing love, infinite love for Joker. How's that GM and that owner feel, Joe? Please explain.
They can't explain anything to me. They feel they're small, Ryan Stewart. They feel this small right here because it's a move that you really can't explain. And on the way out, you talked about this guy in Luka Doncic. You talk about he's been in the league 6 years, and 5 of those years he made the All-NBA first team. He's a fan favorite. When you hear the crowd, not only were they cheering for Luka, they were saying, "Fire Nico." Fire Nico. And who's Nico? Nico is the GM that made that decision. I mean, they were all in on Luka, and you can see the jerseys. You can see as him walking in the tunnel how he's beloved in Dallas. And I knew it was going to happen. The guy had 31 in the end of the first half. He had 31 points. He's a superstar. Now, you telling me that, not you, but the GM's telling me he's lazy, he's fat, we can't trust him with that money. We made a long-term decision or a long-term move when we traded away Luka for Anthony Davis, who's about 7 years older than Luka Doncic. I'm not buying it. Well, and you know what, Stu? I don't know if you remember, but Michael Finley Jr. gave a little bad look to Luka Doncic at the NBA Finals when they were in the finals. I think it was going to be when they made it to the NBA Finals, the game to go to the finals, and he was drinking a beer. He was drinking a beer in the tunnel, and Michael Finney, like his dad, like Luka's dad, I know he works somewhere in the front office, he came and took the beer right out of Luka's hand, almost like he was underage, like a 17-year-old boy or 17-year-old young adult. And I wondered, he said that was a bad look. He said, is that more so of what he was doing, and he's saying that we're worrying about you drinking like that? Or is that a look that he's saying, this is for the kids. Don't let the kids see you drink it. Either or, this man, there's no different than you popping champagne and when you win a World Series pennant, or you popping champagne when you win the NLDS in baseball. There's no difference. So I think that was a sign to where something was going on in upper management, but nobody can explain to me that this was a good move. And Luka Doncic is going to make the Dallas Mavericks pay for this because he's going to be the face of the league in LA for a long, long time.
Just check the score or the box score, and the Lakers are up right now with about 7 minutes and 45 seconds or so left. The score is 90-87, and at this point, Luka's got 38 points in this ball game, so he's not done. He was definitely coming to make sure that they understood what they did was not wrong. And I heard Richard Jefferson talking during this broadcast, and he was like, people are acting like this is not the first time Luka's been traded. I listen, I like Richard Jefferson, but when he said that, I was like, oh, he's right. Luka was a Hawk. So Luke, this is the second time that Luka's been traded. I know he never played in the uniform and, all that stuff happened, but the Hawks had his rights and drafted Luka first. This ain't his first time being traded.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But again, he didn't step foot in Atlanta. He did not step foot in Atlanta. He was in Dallas for 6 years, and he left Dallas. He had vision. He envisioned that he would never have to leave Dallas, and that should have been the case. And those two, Trae Young and Luka Doncic, they're going to obviously be tied at the hip. And you got guys out there, Stu. I'm not one of them to say that it's pretty even Stevens. You got guys out there to say Trae Young is just on the par with Luka Doncic, and the reason why they're saying that because they're holding up championship status. They're going with the bottom line that Luka hadn't won anything, although he got to the NBA Finals, and Trae Young hasn't won anything. He has not even been to NBA Finals. I tend to agree. I think that Luka is a franchise player. He's a super duper star. He's a generational star, whether he's overweight, whether he's out of shape sometimes. He is that guy, and I definitely think the Mavs and Mark Cuban, then the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, won that trade with him and Trae Young. No doubt about it in my mind.
In the Huddle with your boy One Live Stu and Joe Ham. This is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Another basketball question for you before we go too far, Joe. Is the Boston Celtics in the East right now in the second spot behind Cleveland? Is Boston the best team and guaranteed winner of this year's championship, or do you see somebody that can compete with them?
I see somebody that can compete with them in their own conference in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I see somebody that can compete with them in the West with OKC. I cannot sneeze at what they've done. Best record in the West, second best record overall behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not going to put it behind Luka and LeBron James, that dynamic duo, that IQ those two guys possess. I'm not going to put it behind those guys, but I have to look at experience. Do I trust the Cleveland Cavaliers? That's all of a sudden to me. I know they made the playoffs last year, but they were out in the second round. Are they mature enough? Are they experienced enough to win close games, 7-game series? Boston is talented. Boston has been there. Remember, Boston knocked at the door several times before they really kicked that door in. They are experienced. OKC, that's where I wonder with OKC. Yes, SGA, Sean Gilgeous-Alexander, very talented player. They have a very talented and deep roster. But the experience, they haven't been there before. Houston, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Who would have thought that? Well coached by Ime Udoka. So I don't think they're experienced enough. I think if they're experienced, they'll get there and they'll be able to compete in years to come. So that's why I'm going with Boston. That experience, the two-way players and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Porzingis hitting that pick and pop from deep and defending. So I have to go with Boston because they've been there, done that, and I do understand how hard it is to repeat. It's taxing having a short off season. Some guys played in the Olympics, but I think it's one of those things to where that experience and beating Boston, remember, this is not one game. Yeah, that 3 points might not be falling in one game or even 2 games, maybe 3 games. But in a 7-game series that can go to 7 games, I don't see right now the talent and the experience anybody beating Boston this year.
Joe, and I'm not being funny when I say this, but I've been watching a couple of games of the Clippers here in the past couple of weeks. Kawhi is back, and Kawhi looks like he's playing like he's on a mission. He looks like he's healthier than he's been in quite some time. and they're sitting right now at 47-32. One of the teams I mentioned that's at that score of 47-32. One of the 4 teams. Would you even consider thinking about the Los Angeles Clippers creating some damage in this postseason in the NBA this year?
Yeah, I'm going to think long and hard about it. Yes, sir. That's not out of the realm of question at all. Why? They have a championship coach in Ty Lue. And on second, they have a championship MVP, a 2-time champion MVP in Kawhi Leonard, if he can stay healthy. And shout out, Stu, shout out to James Harden. Shout out to James Harden, because when Kawhi Leonard was out all those games early in the season, when Kawhi Leonard was injured and missed the majority of the first half of the season, it was James Harden keeping the ship afloat. It was James Harden playing unselfish basketball. It was James Harden revamping his game and, saying that I have a lot left. Because in Philly, he didn't get it done. In Houston, he didn't get it done, and a lot of expectations were on James Harden. But the way he's played, the way Ty Lue has him playing in that pick and roll, he's picking his holes and picking his shots. He's not dribbling the air of the ball like he used to, properly blocking this 2-hop step back. He's playing fundamentally sound basketball, and they're playing defense. Ty Lue stresses defense, and when you got Kawhi Leonard that's been in those close moments, that's done that or been there, done that, yes, there's a big-time chance that the LA Clippers can make a deep run in this playoff, in my opinion.
In the Huddle with Joe Ham, I'm your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. Looking forward to the 2 Live Stu's experience tomorrow morning. Make sure you wake up bright and early and check us out. And if you don't wake up early and you can't see us at 7 in the morning, you can always go to YouTube and find us at Stewart Media and Entertainment, the 2 Live Stu's experience. We're going to step out of the world of the NBA here, Joe, and get into a tad bit of football just briefly, okay? General managers hit on more than they miss when it comes to franchise quarterbacks. What are general managers doing in the NFL to sell to these owners? And the reason why I ask you this question is because I realized on Monday's pop-up show that we did, we talked about 8 different quarterbacks. I mean, we talked about every quarterback that we could that was coming out in this draft. So tell me your thoughts on GMs hitting or missing on these quarterbacks, and what are they doing to these owners to make them willing to take that shot at these quarterbacks when they come out?
Well, first and foremost, they are inviting those owners to make sure they have dinner with the prospective prospect. They're making sure they're spending their whole entire weekend when they have their official visit at the organization's location. They want to know what your likes, your dislikes. They want to know your demeanor. They want to know what your family background is. It's not just about football, but they have to sell you that to the owners, that this is a young man that I can trust my team with. This is a young man when things are not going well, he's not going to be pointing fingers. This is a young man that you don't have to worry about, hanging out after 1 o'clock and doing things or getting in trouble. You have to make sure that these guys have won ball games. You have to do a lot of vetting. You have to talk to somebody that's in the training room. You have to talk to some of their friends. You have to go back to high school to make sure that that's the guy you want. Because when you look at it, man, Stu, we chopped it up a little bit today about how many of these quarterbacks missed on. Look at John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They reached, man. They went up all the way to 3. And they had to sell the owner on drafting Trey Lance. And Trey Lance is no longer with the football team. Trey Lance didn't play no more than 3 or 4 snaps with the San Francisco 49ers. You look at the Chicago Bears and what they did with Mitch Trubisky, and he's no longer with the football team. How do you explain some of those things? You look at Josh Rosen years back, the number 10th overall pick, top 10 pick. He's no longer with the team. You look at Sam Darnold, number 1 overall. Now he's revamped his career a little bit now with that 1 year in Minnesota, what he got done. But it's a crapshoot. It's an absolute crapshoot. And how do you fall in love with these quarterbacks? Is it, when I think about it, is it one of those situations, Stu, that you're reaching because everybody needs a quarterback? Is it a need versus a want? Are you in love? Do you fall in love with this person? Is it a can't miss? Can this fit your program? Some of those times, no. Most of the time is no. And because it's a crapshoot, I think it's going to be reluctant. Some teams are going to be reluctant, to reach for Jackson Dart. Some people are going to pass in the top 5 on Shedeur Sanders. Not because he's not a good player, not because he's not had a great career, because it's a reach. You go for the best available player as opposed to needs. Because if you're so needy, then you're just going to draft anybody. You're going to draft somebody if you need a cornerback. Yeah, I'm going to draft the best cornerback in this draft. But how good is he? And you're going to pass. And that's exactly what the Falcons did last year. The Falcons went the best available player as opposed to revamping that defense and going for defensive end or maybe a cornerback. They went with the best available player. Now, is it right? Not all the time. So that's why I think the draft is a crapshoot. And when you are the Tennessee Titans, I wonder, Stu. I really wonder. I really wonder. You heard me say it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
I am taking Travis Hunter at number one.
Yep.
I am taking Travis Hunter at number one because you're getting 2 top 10 players in one.
Well, okay.
And Cam Ward is not a generational, can't miss prospect. He's a very fine athlete, very fine quarterback, but he's not a generational. He's not a unanimous number 1 overall pick, because you would say, and I've heard Mel Kiper say, and I tend to agree, I will pick Shedeur Sanders over Cam Ward. That's just me. And that's just me. I think he's a better quarterback. Now, that's not knocking Cam Ward and saying he's not good. I think Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback that I want in today's system, today's quarterbacking style.
You just brought it up, so let's hit on that as we get ready to wrap things up right now within the Huddle with Joe Ham. It's a mixed bag when you talk to these GMs, Coach Ham. Some of them say you got to take the best player. Some of them play you got to take the best player at the need that you have. Again, it's a mixed bag. Are you telling me that you would always go best player if you were a GM?
No, I cannot tell you that. I cannot honestly tell you that, because I would be lying, and that would be irresponsible, because there's been times that the best player available is a quarterback, and
you already got a quarterback.
Yeah. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you're not going to draft the best available quarterback if he's the best available player. Or if you the Baltimore Ravens, you're not going down that route. Or if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not worrying about that at all. So again, that's a position where you can only have one of those guys. But I go to the best available player versus the defensive end, Abdul Carter. Why not team him up with the other defensive end, and then you can have 2? I go with the best available player when you talking about cornerback, because there's value in that. And as we've seen with the league and how these wide receivers are getting paid now, Ryan Stewart, it's not a reach to get a wide receiver in the top 10 now. Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. These guys are, can't miss prospects. These guys are best available guys when you go out and get those guys. So yes, not all the time, because sometimes you can add on. Sometimes your roster can be stacked, and you can get even more depth by going best available player. So I'm going to always lean on best available player, right? Unless it's a need, and I made it. For instance, I made it to the Kansas City Chiefs. I made it to the Super Bowl and lost, and I'm a player away. That's when you kind of go to needs. You kind of go to the needs of you're already there, you're already making the playoffs, and you're one position away or one impact player away, and then you kind of go to needs. But when you're a team drafted in the top 10, you're drafted in the top 10 for a reason. You need to go best available player and then stack your roster, in my opinion.
Okay, real quick, Joe. You just mentioned Abdul Carter, the DN from Penn State. When I say Myles Garrett Jr., do you see Abdul Carter in him? When I say Michael Parsons, do you see Abdul Carter? When I say TJ Watt from the Steelers, do you see Abdul Carter? When I say Max Crosby in Las Vegas, do you see Abdul Carter? When I say Aiden Hutchinson with the Lions, when healthy, do you see Abdul Carter? And last one, Joe, I'm gonna give you one more. When I say Khalil Mack, guy that's been around for a long time, out there with the Los Angeles Chargers, do you see Abdul Carter?
A resounding yes. Resounding yes. Now, I have to go to my scouting report and let you know that when I see Myles Garrett, I don't necessarily see Abdul Carter in that skill set, because why? Myles Garrett is a bigger specimen. Myles Garrett can go from power to speed. He can bull rush you. Khalil Mack as well, as far as their power, they can bull rush you right in the lap of the quarterback. But what I do see, to answer your question specifically, I definitely see Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter. Same type player that can rush with speed, that can drop, that can come inside on twists, can beat you off the edge, can do the spin move, and absolutely loves playing football. For that guy, Abdul Carter with Penn State, to play with one shoulder for 3 games and sack the quarterback and continue to sack the quarterback and play relentless with one shoulder for his team. Not selfish. How many people, and I know they made it way, way deep in the playoffs, college football playoffs. I understand that. How many people would have tanked it? How many people would have said, I'm a top 5 pick, guaranteed to be a top 5 pick? I'm not going to jeopardize my career. Yeah, I don't have to do this. I'm thinking to the future. And what? That's character, Stu. That is character. And I love the way he was able to be there for his team. So, yes, I do see a generational type defensive end and Abdul Carter. And, that would be something. And that's what Cleveland is going with. Cleveland, and see, that GM, that's a perfect example I'm going to use right now, Stu. That GM, he is alluding to us what he's going to do. He's alluding to us, we're not going to need, because we have a defensive end, we have an all-world defensive end that we just paid, so we're not going to need, because we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders would be sitting right there.
It's funny you said that, because honestly, in that division, with Myles Garrett at one end, I damn sure would have brought in Abdul Carter if you like him as much as you say he is, because if you don't have a quarterback, what do you need? You need players that can stop the opposing team's quarterback.
Yes, so absolutely.
I wouldn't touch Abdul Carter in that first 7 to 8 picks with a 10-foot pole. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would not.
No way, Stu.
I think he's a tad undersized. He doesn't body type. He doesn't compare to Myles Garrett. So again, if you see him as a Myles Garrett, you take him. If not, you don't. I just wouldn't do it. And if he was so good, the Browns would do it, because that would again make them compete against the quarterbacks that they play 2 times a year.
The Browns will do it, Stu. Man, good. Man, Stu, I really, and boy, you have a lot of knowledge, and this is not, this is an opinion-based deal. This is just chopping it up, debating, so to speak. Man, you're absolutely wrong with Abdul Carter. I mean, he is the body type. He's the same athlete, same size as Micah Parsons. Same size. And if you don't redraft and think the guys passed up on Michael Carter, if they had to do that all over again, you ask the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Parsons. You ask the Atlanta Falcons if they had to do it all over with the 4th pick, will they go Kyle Pitts, or will they do it again and get Michael Parsons? Yes, a game changer, brother. Game changer.
They've been trying to move Pitts, and they can't get nobody to bite, man. Before we get out of here, man, I'm going to read a couple of text messages. One last thing that popped into my mind. People are insinuating, as we get ready to wrap up In the Huddle with Joe Ham, people are insinuating that Cooper Flagg, a player that I absolutely love this year, he's definitely probably gone. But people are insinuating that he's the best freshman that's ever played in college basketball. Give me your take on that before I read some more text messages.
I was getting ready to say there's something in front of no, but my mom and dad's listening, and I don't want to say that. But no, come on, man. He's not better than Carmelo Anthony. That's one.
I agree.
He's not better than Kevin Durant. That's 2.
Abdul Rahif, what was his name? Mahmoud. Him. He wasn't better than him at LSU.
No, it was Chris Jackson at LSU.
Chris Jackson. Yeah, that name changed later on when he got in the NBA. Correct.
No, absolutely no way. Now, he's a skilled guy. So every time we have these kind of debates and these kind of questions brought up, we're thinking we are dumping on Cooper Flagg. We're not,
right.
Stu. We've seen a lot of basketball. There's not, in my humble opinion, he does it all. Defensively, rebounding, passing, shooting. He's 6'10", and remember, the guy's 17 years old. He reclassified.
17.
He
was supposed to be
reclassified
in high school this year. Right.
So kudos to him, but no, he's not the best freshman we've seen, brother. No, sir.
C. Daniels, man, we thank you for joining the show tonight. I think the Warriors could be dangerous also, especially since they got Jimmy. We didn't talk about the Golden State Warriors when it comes to the finals this year or when it comes to the NBA championship. Do you agree with my man, C. Daniels?
Oh, I absolutely agree with him. No doubt about it. Championship coach, championship all-world player, and Steph Curry, who's moved in my top 10 all time as far as players, and Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy buckets and the way they play. And also, in my humble opinion, they have the defensive player of the year this year. And
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. That's a team. That's a formidable team. What a trade they made at the deadline. Yeah.
I'm over Draymond. I think he's cost this team a couple of championships just being stupid and just being too aggressive for no reason. But you're right. You're right. There's a handful of guys that could be this year's defensive MVP, and Draymond's definitely one of those guys. DJ Chuck said Clippers will push teams to 6 and 7 games because of their experience. Watch the team in the playoffs. I agree.
Totally agree, brother.
Ime Udoka should win Coach of the Year. I think there's going to be a couple of coaches that could possibly do that. Julius 35C, the way Boston was beating Luka ass in the finals, he needed that bath. That's funny. Jungle Brother said, Joe Ham, Luka ices his knees like a 39-year-old man. He's only 25. Philly did right taking that beer from him. A lot of people seem to agree with that message. And I got one more message I'm going to read, man, before we get out of here. Jungle, I see a draft show coming soon from you. Shout out to you, Mocha Bella. Appreciate you, girl. I would love for Jungle to jump on this thing and do a show. I really would. I think there's going to be a draft show in our future as well. And one last one from Jungle Brother, man. Kenny Anderson was real nice as a freshman. He was one of the best college freshmen that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Do you remember when he put Bobby Hurley on skates?
I do.
Bobby Hurley is still reaching, man. Bobby Hurley is still picking up his pants at this moment. But Kenny Anderson hit a wop, 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 wop behind the back and pulled up.
I was at the game. I wasn't at that Duke game when Georgia Tech, when Kenny Anderson had him on their skates. But I don't know why his game didn't translate better in the NBA. I don't know if it was the money. I don't know if he got sidetracked. He was a good player for a while, but he wasn't as elusive as he was in high school and or college when he got to the NBA. And I guess that's just the competitiveness of a professional league.
Yeah, in my humble opinion, also they sagged off of Kenny Anderson. Kenny's jumper wasn't the smoothest. He wasn't as efficient, so he wasn't going by anybody because they gave him that jumper. But he still had a long career, though. He still had a long career and a successful career, but that shot, that blow by, just caught up with him, Stu.
Yeah. Joe, you want to jump in the huddle real quick, man? You got some news for us?
Yeah, it's real quick today, Stu, in the huddle. What I want to say, man, I thought about it today real long. No, the word no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself why you say no or said no. You have to have conviction. You don't have to say but after no. You don't have to tell the whys of you don't want to. You don't have to tell the how or what you're going to do after that. Be convinced when you use the word no, you don't have to add anything to it. It's a complete sentence. No, this means that's bottom line.
He said it is a complete sentence. And Joe, we're country boys, man, and you're exactly right. We're so gracious and we always want to help and we hail people and
yes.
You know, so sometimes when we let people down by saying no, we often feel like we do need to explain why. Like there's something else that comes behind it, and you are exactly right with your in the huddle tonight. If the answer to the question or to someone's thoughts is no, you can stop right there. You don't owe nobody any more than that, Joe. Boy, did I enjoy it. Everybody in the chat room, man, thank y'all so very much, man. We appreciate y'all for pulling up on your boys, man.
No doubt about it, man. That was good. That was a lot of fun, brother.
We're going to do this again next week on Wednesday. We're going to get back in this huddle, man. I appreciate you, Joe, man. Make sure you guys check out tomorrow's show with your boys, Doug and Ryan Stewart, the Two Live Stews and the Two Live Stews Experience. We'll be on tomorrow morning on YouTube and on Facebook. Just go to YouTube and pull up Stewart Media and Entertainment, as well as the Two Live Stews Experience, and you'll be able to catch us, man. Outstanding job, Joe. You get an A+, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Man, outstanding, man. Much love, my brother. Much love, man. Abdul Carter, my friend.
Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. If you don't know him and need to find him and show him love, that's all he's showing you. Nothing but love. Everybody in that chat room, man, we appreciate y'all too. And I'm sure we'll see y'all in the morning. Peace and blessings, y'all.